Lord shade tree. She can't hear us, can she?
Down home blues, down home blues. All she wanted to hear was some down home blues all night long. Every other record. Good morning. It is the OGs at 11, and we are running a few minutes late, but we're still alive and well. Today we have a magnificent program. We got our host back. He just walked in running, talking about how good today is. We got a guest, a familiar guest, who's wearing two hats today. And of course, my name is Lewis Jackson. I'm your co-host, and we are brought to you by the Russian firm, A to Z Imprints. Now, this A to Z Imprints said that they would print your dreams, regardless of whatever it is, as long as it's legal. They used to say moral, but today we don't know what's moral and what's not.
Now, that's you talking, Mr. Jackson.
If it's legal, we gonna print it.
Legal and moral.
And as we said, Miss Betty will put you in a house. Lawrence will hook up your, if you want them to see what you are doing. I mean, who's at your house doing something when you're away. He would do that with he got some great cameras. He got a great crew. And he can hook you up wherever you are. And you just need to call us here at 404-477-0300. That's 404-477-0300. And we will put you directly with, we're going to put you in directly with the owners. We aren't going to put you somebody that's way down line. When you deal with WAEN, you get a chance to deal with the owners of all the small businesses that we represent, and we represent a lot of them. But I don't want to take too much of your time because we got a some folks say it's a controversial subject, and some say, I'll tell you what I think after a while. But whatever it is, it's going to be good. And without any, as they say, further ado, I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to turn it over to the host. And of course, these hosts these days, since they are the big cheese, and they wear the biggest hat, and they make it hard on us little folks. But I'm going to let him take it over, and he's going to bring it to you straightforward. My friend, he's a personal friend of mine. I shouldn't like him, but I like him anyway. Did me wrong long time ago. I ain't gonna never forget.
Did you write a couple of weeks ago?
Oh yeah, you did me right.
Okay, yeah. I can't ever correct that wrong.
No.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in today. We do have a subject that's probably on everybody's mind, and we have a guest today that has done some research, and he has drawn his conclusion as far as the subject matter is concerned. And the subject matter today is 911. Now that's not the emergency number that we dialing. That's the incident that happened in New York. And at this point, I always introduce the guest because the best way to do it is to say you know more about you than I know about you, so we'll let you tell everybody else who you are and what your purpose is. But today, I'm still going to do that, but we want to thank him for the great job he does every Thursday with us so that we can come forth to you on the air. And he's an engineer with one of the stations that we're affiliated with. And the reason I do that is because today he's speaking as an individual.
I have a voice.
And he has a voice. So he's speaking on a subject matter that's dear to him and something that he really feels that we as a nation need to know. So with that, I'll say you make your introduction and we'll move right along. And Mr. Jackson, good to see you again. I mean, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks, I think.
Yes, sir.
So,
you didn't show up
welcome
last
back.
week, and the week before that you was gone. So,
You set yourself up for that.
Well, you didn't see me, right?
Yeah.
No.
Well, let's when he introduces himself before he get into the midst and the depth of this 911, whatever he's gonna say about it. What do you think about the execution that went on last night?
Well, we had a conversation prior to, and I told you what I thought would happen, and I was hoping I was wrong, but I knew that they would take advantage of the fact that they would wait till late night when the crowd was gone and possibility of any disturbance, because most of the crowd would be going home, that they would pull it off at that point. And that's when I got up in the middle of the night last night about 3 o'clock and read the internet. They had executed him. So I think it was all in the plan to be done anyway. I don't think it was going to stop. And I, of course, disagree with it, mainly because I thought there's supposed to be no doubt before you convict somebody. And here we killed somebody with doubt. So my opinion is I'm not.
Well, they said that he had a fair trial, and the jury said that he was guilty, and that unless you get the higher powers, you cannot retry a person for something that they had already been tried on. So, we had 4 or 5 people that could have overturned it, and it's been overturned 2 times, and, they wasn't going to keep letting. I hate to say it, but, it used to be, now, if he'd have killed one of us, he'd have still been living.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't kill one of us.
He'd have been out on the street by now.
Yeah, he'd have been back.
Killing again.
I'll
leave that alone.
You saying it now.
I'll leave that alone.
Why did you say it? Now I can let you kill him on that one.
But this
You
fair,
just said a few minutes ago, no.
But this fair trial thing.
No. You just said a few minutes ago that they killed a man with doubt. And then you just turn around and say it then that he's out we'd have let him out on the street killing again.
No, we didn't say let him out.
You said if he was out.
If he would have killed.
No.
You
said.
No. Wait a minute. I'm trying to get to the depth of it first.
That ain't what you said, though.
No, I'm going to get to what I said. It was said that if he had killed one of us, then he would have been back out on the street again. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, that's what
You'd have been back out on the street doing
He
what?
would have been back out.
Doing what?
And I said he would have probably had an opportunity to kill him.
No, you didn't put it like that now. You did not.
But my
But
problem.
you still are saying that he done it because you just
No, I
said,
didn't say he did it.
You just said that he'd have had an opportunity to do it again.
Oh. Mr. Jackson, I tell you the truth.
Look here, you can't do that again unless you've already done it before.
Well, that's true.
Okay,
That's a
now I
good
want
point.
to make sure that
However, with that said, with the doubt that was put forth and the witnesses coming forward to not to really know that that's what they saw, I don't think he would have been in that position in the first place to be accused of doing it the first time. So that's what I mean about doing it again. I don't think there was enough evidence to convict him in the first place, and if there was enough doubt in the second case to at least give him another trial or to at least sentence him to life in prison versus taking his life. And the reason I have that problem is because when you get the judge that says that he has doubts and he's seen all of the evidence and that he wouldn't have ruled that way, then there's a whole lot of doubt in there. But how in the world can you still execute a man because of?
Well, if you just said something else again,
okay,
I need to correct it.
Go ahead. I don't have a problem with being corrected.
You said that if he didn't do it,
now, I don't know he didn't do it. I didn't look at any of the trial papers. I can't say he didn't do it.
But you said
I'm saying there was doubt that he didn't do it.
But if there was doubt, then there would not
been a conviction.
Right.
Shouldn't have been a conviction.
Right.
But we got people that's.
But what you
Us
said.
folk, we go through.
That's what I was gonna say. But we've
you-
been. How many folks have hung and died with the jury being the people that they've been and convicted us, and we know good and well that we weren't. the
You
ones.
said that they should. They should have given him life. Then, if you said that
I'm
they
saying
should have
if-
given
no,
him
no,
life,
no.
then
Oh.
you believe that he did it.
No, I didn't believe that he did it. But
Well, then
see, first of all,
you
you
see-
got. Let me say this. You can't sit up here and quarterback something that you don't have any knowledge and statistics on. Okay, I got to read, study, understand all of the stuff before I can just draw a conclusion. But my opinion, a true conclusion. But my opinion is that they shouldn't have executed a man with that much doubt. Period.
He should
Erase
be,
everything else that I said, but that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So in other words, he should have been where he could be on our show if we had to.
I don't think we're capable of pulling together all the evidence and the knowledge and the wisdom to try anybody. I wouldn't. It takes a lot of stuff to sit there and tell me you're going to take somebody's life. You can't just look at 3 or 4 little things and say, okay, yeah, you're guilty. You got to have enough evidence and
One primary thing of evidence that you need is something physical.
right.
DNA, a gun.
Same things that
He
we're putting
got
all
put
the
to
emphasis
life.
on now.
Yeah, he got put
He
to
got
life
none of
by
that.
9 people that said
Right.
he did it. And 7 people switched their stories, recanted. So I think you need more than just hearsay to say you have to have your life taken away.
Well, look, we
crazy.
gonna that's for another show. Cause see, you don't have that much time because
Okay? You're absolutely right. We got to get to the guest.
Yeah, okay.
What's your opinion?
Look,
What's your opinion?
I ain't never thought about it.
Smart way to get out of it. Go ahead, Talib.
Oh man.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome to the front part of the show.
Exactly. But anyway, WAN's been celebrating the remembrance of 9/11. And since I do the engineering, I see the shows and everything. Everybody has the happy-go-lucky story. We need to prosper and learn from it and move on. But nobody's covered the conspiracy side of it. So upon my research, I don't trust the government anyway. So it's easy for me to go that way. But
So you don't trust the president? Okay.
Government, he said.
the government, I don't trust the president. I don't trust none of them.
Well, let me ask you.
I mean, how many liars do you know
let me
that
ask
you
you this
trust?
question. This don't even make something ain't click.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Are you?
You don't trust none of the folks, but yet you are part of this country. See, because
Right.
they got other countries.
I'm not saying I'm not going to be a good American citizen. I'm just saying the people that are in power right now, from years and years and years of listening to presidential candidates, that you talked about the president, how many of them said they're going to do this, but when they get into office, they don't do none of it?
Okay, now
So you can trust them? You can.
Now back to 911
Mm-hmm.
because that's coming up again before the show's over. I got 3 other questions to ask about it.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too.
but we want to get to the meats of it.
Right.
When they said 911, and it was named after September.
Right.
which is
The
9/11.
date that it happened.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you see all these folks coming on here. What is it that you know that we don't know?
Okay, well, I mean, there's plenty out here. One interesting video that I just seen last night when I was
Do you
doing
believe
some
the
more
video
research.
you see?
Yeah, I've seen them.
I asked you, did you believe them? You don't believe in the government,
Right.
but you believe in these videos that you just see.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
believe in them. Yeah.
All right.
But
Now what makes these videos so? I mean, so believable.
Because a lot of them are witnesses' accounts, not something that CNN produced, not something that a news program produced. It was a lot of them are witnesses that are actually doing documentaries.
So
like
are
there's
you
one guy
saying-
that did a documentary on firefighters, and he was shooting New York firefighters, and then they heard this roaring sound, and they turned over, boom, a plane hit the building. So a lot of his witness accounts. And one of the interesting videos that I seen last night was President Bush. He actually peeked over and somebody had a laptop or whatever where he was viewing a plane hit the building. There's only like one video footage of the plane hitting the building. And then in a speech President Bush had, he said it after the event. He said, I was there and I was walking into the classroom and somebody showed me a video or something of a plane hitting a building, and I was thinking to myself, that must be pilot error. And then he continued to walk in and sat down, and that's when everybody remembers those famous 7 minutes of him sitting there with a book upside down acting like he was reading it. So I'm trying to bring y'all back. You see, you're thinking.
Yeah. Well, I remember him being in the classroom, so I don't know how he could say that he was sitting there.
That's one of the things that make you say, because in the speech he did say that.
Okay.
He seen the first plane hit, and he said he believed it was pilot error.
Do you think he maybe was talking about afterwards he had seen the video of the plane hit of somebody?
No, he said he seen it. Somebody showed it to him while he was getting ready to walk into the classroom.
Okay.
So that's one thing that makes you say, Another thing that makes you say, is the fact that his cousin, Marvin Bush, was over the security of the whole place. He had like a $50 million contract that he was given for that place.
For the Twin Towers?
All the towers there. There's 7 buildings?
So then what advantage would it be for him to let a plane come in there and hit it? See, I'm getting to the, and maybe.
Yeah, you want to get to the whole end now.
Maybe I'm looking something that.
You're trying to see what advantage is it for that event to happen.
Right.
All you got to do is follow the money.
But you just said the man paid $50 million to watch.
No, he had a $50 million, for this $50 million security contract over the towers. You had Larry Silvestri, who owns those buildings. He put like a $30 billion insurance policy on the buildings.
Physical buildings.
On the physical buildings.
Not an insurance policy on the buildings.
You got to have insurance on your buildings. But the buildings at the time needed $200 million in renovations. If you've been to New York, you know a lot of buildings and structures out there are crappy. They're old and falling apart. Well, he bought this structure, and he got like a $30 billion insurance policy on it, like 2 months before the event. And
$30 billion?
$30 billion. And the reason why I'm bringing him up is building number 7.
Wait a minute, back up now. You said $30 billion?
$30 billion insurance policy. But he's been prorated. All you got to do is look it up. And the thing is, he's been prorated.
$30 billion now.
$30 billion. And he's been prorated. He's scheduled to receive $4.6 billion to rebuild it out there. And he only paid several $100 million for it.
So you think because I was in the insurance business.
Mm-hmm.
If you insure a building more than 20% of his worth, then the policy was not legally done. Mm-hmm. So you're saying...
Well, I guess that's why he's been in court, trying to get more money, and they've only allowed him to get $4.6 billion of it. Because any insurance company's not going to pay $30 billion on a property, so that ain't worth it.
First thing, they ain't going to insure no building for no $30 billion, because then that would be more than 20%.
The city of New York.
So now, I don't know who come up with these figures.
That's what I read, but I know in court.
That's why I asked you, did you believe these tapes that you're watching?
Yeah, I can. Like I said, those are witnesses' accounts. I explained that.
Witness by who?
But by the people that were on the ground watching it with their own personal cameras. It's not like the Pentagon building where they only released one video footage, and the Pentagon has 1 million cameras watching it.
Okay, well, I'm not arguing that point. My point gets back to, and well, I'm gonna let it go, cause this cause you believe in one or two accounts. Mm-hmm. Now, because I was happened to be looking at the news that morning when it happened, and when the first one went, we looked, but then I actually saw when they drove the second one into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what made you think? I guess you're saying that Bin Laden didn't have that much sense to do all that.
Nah, I'm not. I mean, I don't know that much about it, but in my
Well, then why are you up here talking to us about it then?
I can't
Whoa.
explain every instance of what happens, but you bring in Bin Laden now. But Bin Laden to me he was a CIA operative. I mean, he worked for the United States government at one time. CIA trained Al Qaeda at one time, gave them weapons. But the point is, I think the event was going to happen, and the United States government either took advantage of it, or either they planned it from the beginning. I don't have evidence to say this is exactly what happened.
So how did they take advantage of it?
They took advantage of it with the U.S. Patriot Act. That's one of the things that they have put into place. What's funny is they kicked it right in right after it happened, and it was a document that was written up back in, I think, 1996 or 1998, which gives them the right to.
You brought that. I see you got these notes here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you bring the document with you where the Patriot Act was done back in?
Yeah, it's all right here.
And what's in it?
It's like
In
this
the
thick,
Patriot
though.
Act?
I've seen it. It's like this thick.
So you're saying that the Patriot Act was written up, and then so they needed a reason to implement
enact it, yeah.
Correct. And that's because the U.S. population is not going to just automatically allow you to eavesdrop on cell phone conversations, or either do background checks on everybody, or either do the screening like they do at the TSA with the airports and stuff like that. A lot of the things that they're kicking into place is what I guess conspiracy theories or what Revelation speaks about and stuff like that, how you're going to have this big monster machine that's going to be spying down on us to do this, that, and the third. And another thing with the U.S. Patriot Act right now is if they deem you a terrorist, they can lock you up. You don't see a judge, a lawyer, or whatever. They can just lock you up without a pretense, without any evidence. They can just say, oh, we think you're a terrorist, and just lock you up.
So what kind of motivation was in place for the Patriot Act? I mean, for them to do what they needed to do. I mean, who were they going to target, or what?
Us.
Us.
American citizens. It's not a racial thing. It's just American citizens. See, I believe from my reading and stuff like that, it's just the fact that you got the wealthy, the people, the top 1%. What their goal is just more control.
So you think that was the conspiracy, was the top 1% along with the government to do that?
Right. I believe the government works for that top 1%.
Why all these beliefs coming in? Let's get some facts.
Well, I mean, here's the fact. Dwight Eisenhower, when he was leaving
already
office,
dead. Now,
right? But when he was
how
leaving office, he said he apologizes to the American population because he turned over the country to a few bankers. That's in a speech, black and white. You can watch it. Google it on YouTube, and you'll see him. He says it. He apologizes because he gave over the country to a few bankers, and one of the reasons was with the IRS.
So with the YouTube, who puts the articles on YouTube? I mean, anybody can. I mean, if you have, which leaves some doubt. But my thing is that you know what? I can say Lewis Jackson is the best looking person in America.
And you be right.
And I could Google that, and somewhere it's going to give
say
me
that, right.
so many hits about Lewis Jackson. Man, so I have a lot of times, there's so much
you can't take
out
it.
there. Yeah,
you
so
gotta,
much information.
You got to go along with it. Because before I even got to the video of it, I read it. You know what I mean? I don't just go by one source. Okay, I seen it, and that's fact. You know what I mean? But but once you start putting it together and you start investigating it, you'll start seeing it because it's all over the internet as far as the speeches of American presidents. I mean, you can look up his speech and see it. So, I mean, there's other ways that you can validate it versus just going to a video and saying, that's what happened.
So now, and we get a lot of conspiracies. I was looking at one that showed Dr. Martin Luther King was set up to be killed by his staff. Mm-hmm.
I heard Jesse Jackson played a part in it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's by Steve
Steve
Coakley and Dick Gregory. They both came out and said Jesse Jackson played a part in killing Martin Luther King.
Yeah, and I looked at a thing that actually they take a lift from here and lift from there and put it together and make it look like this is a fact. Because see, just us up here talking, somebody could take some of what you say.
A little sound bite.
Right. Yeah.
Take a sound bite. And then the other thing is that what they have done is to do that really to turn us against one another. Now, I would have a hard time, my opinion only, I would have a hard time understanding the benefit of Jesse Jackson playing a part in Dr. King's death. He couldn't. I just have a problem with that, and the reason I would have a problem with that, and I'm just using this as an example, is because I don't think that someone would be in that kind of movement about helping people and helping races of folks, and that hungry for power that they would do something like that.
They suggested Jesse was supposed to be the next Martin Luther King.
Right. Well, first of all, there ain't no next Martin Luther King, and I hear what you're saying, but that's what people get confused with. The one thing I like about what T.D. Jakes has said is that Donald Farmer, I'm the original. There can't be a duplicate, period. I am the only one, period. And that's the way it is. So there ain't no duplicate. There ain't nobody that could speak, carry themselves, do the same things in the same manner, the same voice as somebody else.
Okay, let's get back to 911. Because
I'm going to tie that right into 911, too, just as soon as we start on it.
Now, the 911, the scheme that you said that they have it for some laws to be changed without the American people objecting.
Patriot Act.
So they're putting some laws like the airport screening, the Patriot Act, where they can
background checks, eavesdropping on phone calls.
They were doing background checks,
locking people up. Not on the way they're doing it now, because they didn't have it where any random person can just pull anybody's background.
Well,
then you have, that's just one aspect.
What you mean?
The other aspect is,
what you mean by anybody's person pull anybody's
you can go online right now and do a background check on me without my permission.
Yeah, because of the internet.
No,
it ain't because
that's a law that has been. See, that's your personal information. You're not supposed to have that totally exposed like that.
Well,
if you run a background check, you're supposed to get authorization from the person that you're running it from. Now you don't have to.
I agree. So
and that we ain't even talking about the war aspect of it.
Everybody's doing it, so they can't lock everybody up that's doing it. So as Don said a few minutes ago, since we had the internet, everything has changed.
You're right.
With none of this going on, and it may have been somebody's intention, but it couldn't get it out there. Now there's no secret, and I agree with you. They know when you. When I get to the point where I can look at my house and see when a car moving in there, all I got to do is go on the internet and do it.
Right.
Then there's no secret. If you buy anything, you had a Social Security, you put it on there, and 5 minutes later, it's going to be all over the thing. So actually, there's no secrets about internet. So I don't see why they were going to benefit so much.
Well, they were doing it before. They were doing it. They eavesdropped on Andy Young, Dr. King,
right?
And what's the crook name? The FBI,
Hoover,
J. Edgar Hoover. He was doing that years and years. He didn't have permission. He was doing that crap a long time ago on anybody and everybody he wanted to, including whites.
But that was that institution. But if you go into the law, one of the things was that the fact that was against the law.
But they are the law. So they don't have to. The law is made for us. And when I say us, I'm not just talking about us as a people. It's for the lower class people.
Right. But I know what you're saying. But it was still a law. Because what happened, like with AT&T and T-Mobile, I remember reading an article about that. They had a big stink about people who supposedly protect our rights, said that the government can't go to them to get our phone conversations. They can't get our text messages.
I saw that. I read something like that.
That's the same thing. But with the Patriot Act, they don't have to worry about that no more. That hurdle's gone.
So you're saying they did that just so they can legitimize what they were doing?
Exactly. See, the thing is, to get people to go with you, you have to. They think they have to create an event. For it to happen, we get outraged and we'll just do anything. We'll just sign it. Let's go get the terrorists. Look what happened with Iraq. Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with the event. But we went to Iraq. We was all for it.
Well,
Then we went to Afghanistan as well. But if you chase the money, you follow the money, you see why they do it.
Well, then what we as a people can do is try to not get into that same class of folks that they're going to run over. You heard me say it all the time. Laws ain't made for everybody.
Mm-mm.
I don't believe in all laws. Some of them you learn how to do and how not to do.
Right.
So the average man need a roadmap because he can't think on his own. Do you know that 75% of folks be dead if they didn't have leaders to lead them how to do something?
I understand.
Because they got no ability to do it. I mean, they got the ability, but they're afraid.
But most people are followers, yeah. They need to, especially we black. We know that already.
Yeah, well, not only black now. You got everybody.
Because, I mean, you look at white races and all these other races, a lot of them ain't looking for a Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or some leaders. We always looking for that next leader. Who's that next leader to help us? So I understand
That's
what you're saying.
So we don't, and
I've never understood that. I've never understand why we have to have a leader.
Because
It's
just
a
what we
religious
said.
thing.
Just for what? Who said?
Just like I said.
Oh, like you said.
Yeah,
Thank
just like
you.
I just
I'm talking
said.
about we
Yeah,
said.
yeah, I said it.
75% of the people.
Yeah, if they didn't have leaders to be.
Well, but Lewis, think about this.
It just okay, dog.
I got a question. Just think about this, okay? Why do we have to have one leader? We as a people, they always want to give us one leader. Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. That's our leader.
Well,
They don't have one leader.
Let me tell you what it is.
What's the deal
It's a
on
control
that?
aspect.
And that's true. They know if they build this person up where we all look up to him.
So they can be bought.
If we control,
Exactly.
if
That's
we
what
can
it is.
control him, then we control the rest of. It's just like
Exactly.
we got. It's just like in my church. There's one.
You don't go to no church. Let's get back to 911. Go ahead. So what else you want to talk about in the theory, Talib?
Also, some more evidence of it. You have a lot of New York firefighters during the event when the reporters went out. Footage where the firefighters said it sounded like a controlled demolition. Because these buildings fell in their own footprint when the planes hit.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get into, I can go into how the fires were as well.
What they call it?
Yeah, implosion.
Yeah. That's
Where
what
it blows inward instead of outward. And if you looked at the buildings, if a plane hit it, you figure the top would fall off or something. But they said that, the fires were hot enough where the support beams gave out. But anybody that studies fires know that they would have to burn like 2,500 degrees or higher. But what happened is when you got all the rugs, the chairs, and carpets and plastic from the computers and all that stuff, it creates black smoke, which keeps the temperature cooled down to a certain degree. Because I've read where these engineers have said this, that it is impossible because there's a building, a hotel in Italy that burned for 4 hours, and it never came down. It never came down. The cement structure stood and everything.
So you think they already had planted?
Yeah, demolition.
Demolition in there.
In the building, right. That's why I mentioned that Marvin Bush had the security contract over there.
So you don't think that Bin Laden had enough sense to, if he gonna?
No, that's why I think the government took advantage of the incident.
If he's smart enough to synchronize planes to hit at a certain time, he didn't have sense enough to put this explosion at the bottom of it.
Even the government don't even say that. But if you go back to the footage when it was first happening, they was interviewing everybody. Firefighters said they were in the building, and next you know they hear boom, 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 sounding like explosion just going off, going off, going off. The next you know, here comes the whole building coming down.
Okay.
And they had to run out of there and get out of there.
All right, keep going. I got some questions at the end.
Oh, okay.
Well, you ain't got too much more time.
And then from one video I watched called In Plain Sight, there's a documentary on it, and the guy was showing how all these different video aspects.
What guy's that? Let me see if I heard about it.
I don't remember the
Because if I
guy's
heard about
name.
him,
But but it's a documentary called In Plain Sight.
Oh, okay.
Everybody can look it up, In Plain Sight. And he shows how there's a flash right before the airplanes hit the building. He didn't have an explanation for that, but he shows that there's a flash right before it happens. Also, a guy that witnessed it, who was on the news report at the time, said it. He goes, I looked up, and it didn't look like any plane I've ever seen. It had a blue emblem in the front of it. It had no windows on the side. Exactly.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. Now, yeah.
The first one, when the first one hit. He said there was no windows on the side. He said
what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I'm just bringing up things that don't make sense right now.
That doesn't make sense to me because we know that this plane took off from somewhere. We knew the passengers that was on it. So what difference does that make? That made no sense.
Well, I don't know the passengers that are on it because I remember but I'm just saying certain things that don't make sense.
Well, that don't make sense. Whoever said that to me. Well, and the reason that doesn't make sense to me is because we know that these planes took off from an airport. We know that we got the list of the people that was on it.
But it's the same thing with the Pentagon plane. I didn't even get to the Pentagon. When that hit, you seen the destruction of those two buildings when those planes hit. The Pentagon just had a hole in it. We didn't go around and say, where are the bodies? Where's the plane parts? Where's the plane? If it's coming in on an angle or even if it's coming like this, it's going to hit just a hole, but it doesn't do any kind of damage but a hole. That's why I had the measurements on the Pentagon. The hole at the Pentagon was 65 feet wide, 73 feet tall. But a Boeing aircraft from nose to tail is 144 feet, 3 inches. The wingspan is 134 feet, 10 inches. And the height is 44 feet tall. So why is this hole in the Pentagon like half the size of the plane?
So the wings couldn't have gotten knocked off going in there.
Then we would have seen the wings laying there.
So the theory,
we would have seen a huge fire, because all that fire from that jet fuel brought those two buildings down. We only seen a hole at the Pentagon.
Okay, but this is what I'm hearing in all of this. Mm-hmm. If, and I know we're saying if.
We're all talking if right now.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk no if.
No, this has got to be if, because we don't have facts. These are not facts.
Didn't he say he had facts?
I did mention a few numbers.
We don't have facts. What's wrong with that? Well,
already?
No.
11:45.
No. Sorry. But this is what bothers me with this. So are we saying that the people on the planes were in on this too, and they in hiding somewhere?
No, but
where are the people?
Exactly. That's why I don't think. I just think they made it up. I think it's all made up.
So you saying that
I've heard people that died in the buildings, but I never heard people say, "Oh, my people died at that."
Homer, the black pilot of the plane that wrecked, that hit the Pentagon. Mm. I think it was that one, or the one that was in the field, was an African American pilot.
Yeah, that was the one that's in the field. The one
is
Flight
he
91.
Somewhere?
No, I'm saying the Flight 91. That's the one you're talking about. That they said the people on the plane fought back and brought that plane down. You're talking about that one.
Okay.
But what about the Pentagon?
Where are they? Well, I don't know who the pilot was for that one. I'd have to do research because I don't have the facts.
Well, do the research and we'll go.
No, it's not that important to me. But what's important to me? It's not to me. Not to me. It's history already, as far as I'm concerned. I don't kill a horse 37 times. The horse dead. Leave him alone.
So you're saying that all this money they're spending every year on this 911, all that money shouldn't be there. Now, I agree with you on that. Now, if you're saying
how long are you going to celebrate the death of people?
I agree with you on that.
I got a problem with that. Mm-hmm. You know, now that's just my opinion. But I'm sorry it happened. But there ain't nothing I can do about it.
But that's what this country does. Look at Christopher Columbus. He never discovered America, but we still teach our kids that. They still celebrate it. He was a mass murderer.
See, but that's...
Who's a mass murderer?
Christopher Columbus. When he landed there in the Indies, he killed like 80% of the people there. He was a rapist. He had a woman on his boat, and he beat her and everything and raped her. But we still celebrate this man. That's what this country does.
You know those reports back in those days. little skeptical.
That was his diary. They finally released his diary like in the late 90s.
Well, you know, one day I'm gonna have a diary, and I won't be wrote nothing.
Well, you see.
But then another aspect of it too is the guy that owns the building, Larry Silverstein. Building 7 it took a little damage, but he said through hours of it and all the loss of. His direct quote from a documentary, he said, I said, we've had such a terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. Now, he's talking about engineering term or with controlled demolition. These guys know when they say pull it, the building's coming down. Now, 4 o'clock in the afternoon of the same day, Building 7, he said pull it, and they pulled it and brought it down. Anybody that knows engineering doing that type of stuff knows that it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to plan out that they have to get the blueprints. They got to figure out where to put the dynamite and everything for this building to come down perfectly. So with a big tragedy going on, all his loss of life, everybody's in panic. How did he have the authority and a team together already by 4 o'clock the same day to pull down this building?
Well, that's a good one. I have to admit that is a good one, because I agree with you. You couldn't put nothing together that quick to put down a big building. Not the explosion to make it fall in place.
Exactly. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff to think.
You don't hit two things that make sense. That one makes sense.
The whole show you hit two things. Boy, you had to listen to you carefully.
Exactly.
Look, let me say this. I agree that I believe that there was something other than what happened that happened. I totally agree with that. So I'm on board with that. What? I have no idea. But with that said,
happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday to Donna. Happy birthday
to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, I appreciate that. I don't even know what to say except thank you.
It's so pretty.
Look, you want to cry.
I'm laughing at you. So pretty. I'll tell you what I wish to.
That's all right.
That? What'd you wish for?
I always wish the same wish, that all my wishes come true. Every wish is that. Thank y'all very much. This is a total surprise.
Well,
I don't even know how. I don't remember telling, but anyway. But I do have a theory about what you got, and I think you're on the subject of something that really needs to be discussed and looked into, and people are looking into it. But I do have some issues with the 911 total package thing, because
something ain't right.
It's not right, and I guess they need to clear it up for history. But as far as I'm concerned, it happened. I'm sorry it happened. I'm in sympathy or whatever with the families. But sometimes you need to let go. And I just think at this point we need to say, okay,
I agree with you.
Let's let it go. I don't know why we keep rehashing it, because every time a family has to go through it all over again. Yeah. And I just think it's hard on a family for that reason.
And pretty soon it might end up being a national holiday, and it'll be commercialized, and it's all about buying planes or something like that just to get to your kids. So,
and we know, and now one of the things that you said earlier that I must address, because my co-host over there was going to beat you down with it, is that you don't trust the government. You don't trust the government and go through all that. Hell, I don't trust them either. And it's not that I don't trust, that I distrust everything about them, but there's a lot of things about them that I don't trust, because they've proven that they're not trustworthy in some senses. So that statement was powerful, strong, and we need to not just assume that just because they're the government that they're going to do the right thing.
I want to know if y'all trust the president. That's what I see.
Well, we said government. The president, I think, reacts. Yep, that's exactly what I said. I think he reacts. I think he's got the wisdom and the knowledge to also plan and to make things happen, but I have a problem with trying to make the spin work. I got a real problem with making the spin work.
Well, I don't know if you're trying to make the spin work. I don't know if he's trying to make the spin work. But I like his last speeches that he said that he just took.
A speech is just like the one that Dr. King made. I have a dream. A dream is just a dream. A speech is just a speech. Put it to work. Make it action.
Exactly.
Then I'm all on board with it.
Look at me. Look at
We gotta go.
Yeah. But we still got 5 minutes to close out. Back to the 911. Who do you think come up with the idea? Was it somebody, like you said, from overseas, or it originated here?
I think, personally, in my opinion, from looking at everything, I think it was a bunch of terrorists was planning the attack, and the government said, we can use this to do this, because in 1968, I think it was, when Kennedy was in office, one of the generals came to him and said, let's fly a false flag. That means they're going to dress themselves up as the enemy and attack themselves. And in that operation, they were going to have some kids flying from United States citizens, some kids come from here, fly to Cuba, and they were going to have a Cuban jet go up and shoot it down so they can go to war with Cuba. But President Kennedy didn't do that. I forget what the operation was called, but it's called flying a false flag. So I think they use that same terminology. I think some other government official came through and said, you know what, let's take advantage of this so we can kick all this other stuff and get all this other stuff going in motion.
Is that the Bay of Pigs situation time that took place?
I think it happened right after that, yeah. And they were using it because I think, Kennedy wasn't about war. He was about peace. And let's talk it out.
What you mean he wasn't about war?
I mean, I didn't think he wanted to go into another one, let's just say.
Okay.
He wanted to, look, Cuba's this big. Why are we going to jump over there and bomb Cuba?
Well,
Let's just get through Vietnam and end this.
The other problem with that is that Russia was saying, if you do.
Yeah, we're going to put our foot in your behind.
So it made a big difference.
Because their missiles was over there, too. So.
Well, he turned them around, so I don't know if they were so powerful or not. He said, you ain't going to Cuba. You ain't going to be in their base that close to America.
And maybe because of his belief and the way he conducted himself was maybe the cause of his demise, too, because, they took him out. And
Well,
if you don't get on the program with your folk.
They got a conspiracy theory about that.
Oh yeah, I know it.
There's a whole lot of all of them. So I think at this point you just need to whatever that's gonna keep you going without worrying, because some folks worry about this stuff.
Nah.
Yes, they do.
I'm just saying they shouldn't.
Right? Oh, okay.
They shouldn't. They should just take it in, absorb it, take it for what it is, and when you make your movements in day-to-day life, let that play a part maybe in it. Like, I'm not going to sign this, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to vote for that. Use it for that aspect of it. But I don't think everybody should be worrying about it like they do and have national parades and, making a big commercialized event.
Because a lot of times what happens when you do that, we don't even realize. Because sometimes, it's the things
real
you
meaning.
Well, and not only that, sometimes the things you don't do are more in front of you than the things you do. And what you do is when you're promoting that, you leaving out some other things that mean just as much to somebody else. And those things don't get the attention.
Right.
And
it's just like Christmas. It's supposed to be about Jesus' birthday.
Yeah.
Now it's about Santa Claus and elves and all that other stuff. It ain't even about what it originally was.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It should. All the emphasis shouldn't be on that.
Yeah.
Now, Talib, since you've been a radical all your life, because one way we know you're a radical because you changed your name a long time ago. Because that name was not radical.
You mean he was Joe Smith?
Oh yeah, he was Joe Smith one time.
Okay.
I mean, he's
Master's name.
Master name.
I mean, he's a junior.
Mm-hmm.
So his daddy still calls him Junior.
Mm-hmm.
So next time his daddy
That's the only thing he kept.
Yeah.
He just everything but Junior.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the only part about it is a junior.
Mm-hmm.
But when did you start knowing that you didn't want to follow the What they call it?
The typical protocol
Right,
life.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, coming up, I was born in an all black area. Then I moved to an all white area, and all of a sudden I was treated differently by my schoolmates. They would look at me, want to play with my hair, and I'm like, seriously?
I thought you was a northern. I thought they didn't do it up
Yeah,
north.
but where I lived, it was a small little town. I mean, there was 400 kids in the whole school. 13 were black. So that tells you how it is. But there's the music.
Well, we got an engineer today.
She on it.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Mr. Jackson, close us out.
Well, we appreciate that you taking time off your duties to be here with us. And you know I was gonna give you a hard time, but I've learned a whole lot from you, and I continue to learn. But this show is about controversy, making sure that there's not just one thing. And we really thank you for enlightening us on some stuff, because some of that stuff I really didn't know.
And for doing your homework.
Yep.
It means a lot when you do your homework and you study and you know how to enunciate the things that you want to say. So,
but
we
if you want to reach Don to live, that's 444-770-300, and we are here at 3105 Washington Road. To live has a store. He has a bunch of knowledge of stuff. We all ready to go?
We out of here.
See ya.